Lord of the Expendables, Episode 2, Le Roi Tafur. And we left off where we had massacred people in a market in Hungary. Oh, we're just not nice people. And I'm following the path of the Crusade, and I'm over here now by the time I'm reaching the borders of Hungary. We are now frightened about King Colomon's reaction. I have one fostering of the faith. We have entered into Hungary, and we never got permission, and we have fled what we thought was going to be King Colomon of Hungary, King Colomon, the book learned, and we are heading for the Danube River near Belgrade. Now, the German lords have resisted every attempt to keep the soldiers under control, yet we could keep from being attacked ourselves, because by the time I reached the Hungarian border, my own ranks had swelled to close to 20,000. 20,000 by this. This is 10 times our sister force led by my brother, the German nobles, under the command of my brother Bart. But we need to cross a river. We begin looking for boats, then start wondering if we can make some sort of raft. And then, of course, somebody's going to make a combat. A single raft to move 20,000 people across a river? That's rather naive. I just start ordering the men to find a solution to this. They start to take matters into their own hands, and they start stealing planks from churches, from houses, from businesses, anywhere they can grab them. And so with the materials, we form a pontoon bridge across the river. Now, the local garrison, it's mostly mercenaries, an area to the east, so more like Cossack mercenaries. And they emerge on barges to help with the task, but also to keep us orderly as we cross. And once we get to the city, the inhabitants, they become very suspicious, of course, because they've heard about our massacre in the market. They just gather up valuables and they flee to the mountains. And so we have made our way, still as pilgrims, across the Danube on June 26, and we're being escorted by these Cossacks, and they're trying to keep us along a specific path, and they're actually herding us into an encampment area, like a box canyon in the mountainous regions. That's not going to work, because we know it's a trap. We need to stop them, and the only way we stop them is we attack them. A murmur started as the Peregrini Christi speculated on the strangers assisting our transit. Who were they? Who sent them? None of us had seen anyone who dressed nor smelt like these brigands did. Inevitably, the subject of belief arrived. Religion was always simmering beneath every act of my pilgrims. Accusations erupted. These men are Muslims. None of them pray to the crucifix. All of them defiled our sanctity. We had been moving rather smoothly. The Pencheneg Cossacks paddling the raft helped stabilize the pontoon drift. Yet as more of us arrived on the southern shore, it was clear these men were not sent as reward for our good grace. We were ushered off the main road down a trail leading to a ravine. When the path sloped down, the front ranks stopped. Hell brims with the deceived. All refuse to be herded. We are the lambs of God, not your errant sheep. Michael challenged our escort. Which saint were you named after? Christians do not obey Gentile nor heathen. Walter the Penniless ordered his troops to form ranks. That was enough. Battle ensued. After we attack them, the results will be that most of them that we capture, we have nothing to do with them, so we're going to put them to death. We're going to loot the town of Belgrade. It wasn't as spectacular as it is in the modern age. It was a significant town. It was a Roman outpost at one time. Belgrade is going to be looted and torched. What fun! Is that kingly deliberations? No, it sounds like Pious Quest. Now, I'm on a new day, so I'm going to take my leave and go. No, we're not singing chanties here. I'm going to take my plot armor again. But here comes my die 6. 4. I will defeat one Dark Knight. So my task in the battle against the Cossacks is to defeat one Dark Knight. I can defeat a Dark Knight down here. Now I could have rolled anything to bridge the river. Maybe I'll make an extra roll to bridge the river. But as a man of justice, I only roll a single die here. Maybe I'll use my plot armor, just use it right at the start. That's probably wasteful, but I will use my plot armor right at the start here. And I will use a critical deed of the plot armor, and by using that critical deed, I can also build the pontoon bridge. But I'm going to fight the Dark Knight here, and let me roll 2 dice. 2 dice. Do I add 1 to each die because I am destined? I sure do. And I'm still destined. I'm destined until I lose that. 4. I am destined to fulfill this quest. A 1 and a 3 becomes a 2 and a 4. The best one is a careful. Defeat 1 fell 1. Now, these are Dark Knights, not fell 1. Or gain a modifier to treat 4s as 6s. Now, I want that modifier, but by taking the modifier, I now had to defeat 2 Dark Knights. But still, as a man of justice, rolling 2 dice, taking the better, and adding 1 to each, I'm going to get this 2 and a 4 again. The 4 becomes a 5. And I have a wise reaction. Defeat 1 fell 1. Or gain a modifier to treat any 5 as 6. I will do so. So now I'm treating 4s, 5s, and 6s as defeating Dark Knights. But I got to defeat 3 of them. I'm going to roll these very quickly. And that is a roll of a 2. Becomes a 3. Oh, I'm jolted. Oh, I have to lose a mighty, a wise, or a careful. Well, I'll lose the careful. So now if I roll a careful and it adds a fell 1. Ooh. Okay, so I got 3 Dark Knights and a fell 1. Wow, they're really rushing to kill me. Here comes my roll, and I'm treating 4s. Jolted means later rolls of 4, 5s, and 6s also treat as 3s. So if I roll a 4, I'm going to treat it as 3s again. That was a bad roll. A 3 and a 3. A 3 and a 3 is a 4. A 4 means I've jolted again. I've lost my 5 ability. I've lost my wise. I've lost my 4s. I've lost my 5s. And now I'm treating 4s and 5s. And I picked up another fell one that I have to fight. What happened to my luck? Should I use my plot armor here? It can only cancel 1 of the Dark Knights. It's not going to help me. Here comes my 2 dice. It's getting critical. A 6. Now I'm only facing 2 Dark Knights and 2 felled ones. A 6. Now I'm facing 1 Dark Knight. No, I'm going to defeat all the fell ones. I'm facing 2 Dark Knights left. A 5. A 5 plus 1 because I'm destined is a 6. I got 1 Dark Knight left. At the darkest hour, I'm coming through with my prowess. A 4 and a 1 becomes a 5. But remember, we're treating 5s as 6s, so I have won this battle.
Well, let's start with a disclaimer here. Did I do this correctly? When I was going through the video afterward, it seemed like I did roll a 5, and that changed the modifier before I actually made the loss of the 5 result for wise. Yet, is it the die result or the table result that is being changed? Can be confusing, and even I am not clear totally from situation to situation. The jolted 3 came second, that much I know from the events here. Either application seems correct, which also seems to be a paradox. The order depends on the story and the number of players. A solo play, well, you can be forgiving. I resolved here to end the battle. I could have instead moved to the other 2 tables, having lost all actions of prowess. Do something using a single die or righteousness with a 2 dice and taking the lower. The modifiers of treating 4 and 5 as 6s would still apply. They even apply in group play. The odds were ever in my favor. Yet, I'm striving here for fun and to move past arguing over rule, especially rule nuance. Just try to be consistent in your own play and let the fun trump all. There seems no end to these mercenary captains. I fought 1, then 2, then 3 Dark Knights. I know I'm being tested and even mocked. My leg was bit by a famished dog that I sent scooting with a boot flick. Walter Pousset arrived to aid me in the melee. After that, we had them with numbers.
I took my part in the looting and burning of Belgrade. Not my proudest moment. But I'm forgiven withholding indulgences from all of the sins that I may create, and I'm a pious man. Remember, my hair can cure your rheumatoid arthritis. We use fire almost everywhere. The Pilgrim's Crusade was infamous for their fire. I'm going to say the fire probably started by accident, but it is the most expedient weapon that we had. Peregrini, Christi were not the most uniform of arms. Most of us were not trained as soldiers, and we had not drilled very much in any manner. We were essentially a mob of righteous men, forgiven from all sins. The mayor of Belgrade is a military commander, and he did not respond well to the burning of his city. He reacted thinking he's overrun by surprise. He fled with his remaining garrison to the provincial governor in Knee. Just like the knights, the governor Nacetus was appointed by the emperor himself, Alexius. And instead of contacting the regional subordinate king, Colomon, this political preening fop removed his army fully back to Constantinople under the guise of seeking guidance. I need to get an update. His lands, essentially the lands that I'm moving through at the moment with my Children's Crusade, and they call it Children's Crusade because we were just the innocents. This whole area of formerly Yugoslavia, now modern Serbia, Montenegro, and a dozen other little countries, that area here we're moving through is now unguarded. Now the King Kalaman, his territory is more over here, slightly to the east, and then to the south you have the Greek protectorate of Alexis. And so we're moving through Hungary. Hungary's domain in the area along the Adriatic here in the mountains, it's now unprotected for the moment. Ugh, bad for them. There's going to just be chaos in the area of Serbia. Now my main army is still marching south, but by this time many of the people in the army had felt that they had walked far enough, and this must be the land of the Turk. And so they just start rampaging, or they riot every chance they get. They fight Hungarians, they fight men that are wearing the uniforms of Alexius, of the emperor. They fight local lords, they fight local townships. They're out of control. What really is lamentable is the fact these are Christian on Christians. This is not... I try to cry out for some sort of restraint here, that we have not reached the Holy Lands. These are our partners. These are more people that should be joining us in the crusade. We shouldn't be massacring. But after a 7-day march, we arrive close to Ni, the place the abandoned, the place Nicetus abandoned around July 3rd. And our very first act there was to demand food from the locals. But this message was very rudely delivered, and you can blame it on the hunger that we're all experiencing, but we should have been more polite. Townsfolk asked us to guarantee a good conduct by going forward, by giving over some hostages. This was very common in the Dark Ages. You would give them one of your younger children, they would give you one of their younger children. If you ever go to war, the younger children would have their throats slit. Alexander, the man I'm traveling with, he asked me if he can be one of the hostages. He wants to prove his piety, and that I know, no. I'm a former soldier. I know, no. You're not gonna. You're gonna stay right by me. I need you. You're my killer elite. And I realize that anyone that we leave behind are just gonna be. They're just going to end up as martyrs, because there's no way we're going to be able to control this mob that's moving through the area. And so two very honorable lords, Geoffrey Burrell and Walter of Bretagne, Bretagne or someplace close to that in name, forgive me in my pronunciation, they are left behind in this Christian territory. But on the other side, many of the local people start joining the crusade because it's a better life. There's just this overall feeling that to go and live or die on a holy crusade, it was just the meaning of life. And of course, the city of Ni is burned as well. Wow. Well, maybe we should fight some household guards. There will be no kingly deliberations. Let me roll a d6. And it's a 2. I defeat a d6 Fellman, lose destined status, or add a scourge. That destined status is adding 1 to my dice roll, so I will add a scourge. A d6 Fell ones, and I will defeat 4 Fell ones and add a scourge. A scourge is like Dark Knight to many degrees, although the scourge can also be defeated with righteous rewards and with do something anything, which is another option if I had played a different class of character. But I had my reasons. And so I will try to defeat 4 Fell ones and a scourge. And back to this table, and here comes my dice rolls. Adding 1 comes from Destin, a 5. Now it's wise. I can defeat a Fell one, and I will. I defeat 4 Fell ones. Now I can only defeat 3 Fell ones. Now, should I take that the modifier, add the Dark Knight? It may be wise to do that because the odds are I'm going to lose that before I kill 4 Fell ones. But I'm going to go ahead and just play it as a different measure here and defeat 3 Fell ones and get the Scourge. Here comes my dice roll. I'm adding 1. 1 and a 4 is going to be a 2 and a 5. Now that 5, I can defeat another Fell one again. It's sort of fate is telling me, hey, I'm giving you a second chance here. You might want to decide to take it. And I got 2 Fell ones and a Scourge as I loot and burn this city. 2 and a 1 is the 3. I'm jolted. I'm going to lose either Mighty, Wise, or Careful. And certainly, and I add a Fell one. Back to 3 Fell ones and the Scourge, and I decide to lose my Careful. And so I cannot use that. I'm going to treat that as a 3. And here goes my dice rolls. 2 dice. Should I have taken the 5s become 6s? 6 and 6. Boom. I take the option here of defeating all the Fell ones. Now I only have the Scourge, but 4s I'm treating as 3s. 2 dice. Adding 1 because I'm destined. And a 6 and a 1. That's 6. Beautiful roll. Becomes a 7, a Mighty, and I defeat that Scourge. And the town of Ni is sacked and looted.
I had no time to sightsee. Ni might have been a hidden jewel, a provincial capital that offered exotic cuisine and sacred shrines. Eastern Orthodox shrines, of course, but not as godly as our Catholic saints. We took what we could and desired, burned the remainder. I entered the house of a noble. I could tell by the fine carved oak door. Therein, the owner handed me a small chest of gold and a coffer of pearls. He valued his family over possessions. Sensible, I guess. I had spent a lifetime selling my loyalty and had never seen such a prize nor received such a payment for a simple act, the charity of not killing them outright. Walter of Burgundy entered after me, drawn by the same instincts. We both agreed we needed this plunder, going forward as leaders to pay incidental expenses, things one cannot prepare for nor expect, but we know would occur. Agreed and agreed. Did we leave unharmed the man and his family? What happened afterward? My piety is less than pristine. Walter Pousset said he would hide the treasure so we two could divide it later. We could collect it upon our return going home. I scowled at him and told him the chest was traveling all the way to Jerusalem with the company. We would hold it under wraps at the command pavilion. He nodded agreement and began to burn the estate as the family fled. If I only had more than 2 hands, the linen seemed a waste set aflame. I have no idea if the owners eventually escaped or ever returned to see the scorched shrines of Ni.
We are just not nice people, but we are righteous in our cause. We had a papal bull backing our demands. We demanded food, yet the supply, none of us can do the accounting. If there was only at least one Miller amongst us. Miller. Such a nice man and noble role. Yeah, he could have told us we are far too small. The area is far too small to feed such a multitude. It would take the loaves and the fishes. The hungry troops are just going to pillage the countryside, forcing each local commander to just call out his troops. And many of the forging crusaders are killed by raids and reprisals, because when you got a company which is growing close to 50,000 by now, it doesn't travel in a nice marching parade. It's starving. It fans out over, tens of miles of terrain in depth and width. It's an odd, undulating globe of confusion and terror as we move. Wow, sounds like some sort of space alien. And the next situation here is the fact that I start to feel that my pilgrims of Christ, my followers, are starting to fall into the total anarchy. I need to pull them back in, a morale and disruption and to order. And this is where I'm going to use a thoughtful deliberation. Let me generate one here. And this is something that Peter the Hermit actually did on the Crusade. And again, I'm following the historic events and generating my results using the dice rolls. Kingly deliberations, let me roll a die for that. And I rolled a 1. I need to defeat a d6 fell ones, malcontents that don't like the rules that I'm initiating here. I tell my followers that papal permission to loot can be very seductive, but I need to start to separate my forces into those who are mercenary, which I send away to go be led by my brother Bart, and those here purely as pious, and Alexander and my 2 Walters, Walter the Penniless and Walter Pousset, will start to train the men and organize the men to fight, but only the most pious. And I make each man declare that he will no longer carry any coins. He will no longer seek any money. If any money is even found on them, a single penny, a single farthing, they shall be cast out and have to go and serve with the mercenaries, and many are. And of course, Walter the Penniless, he says, hey, no problem, I'll agree. And Walter Pousset, he sort of laughs and dares anyone to search him, and it says, of course, I have no coins. Jingle, jingle, jingle. And Alexander Noshan, he pulls out his purse from his belt and cuts the stitches in it and casts it out to the crowd. And anyone who tried to collect any of the coins from his full purse that scattered amongst the crowd of followers, they become the first that we exile. And these are the 4 fell ones that I have to defeat here. Let me go into my dice rolls. And again, tests of power, sort of a one-trick pony here, but if I end up getting that 1 bewitched and I start getting pushed into these other tables, it's going to be a harder game for me, and that's by the sheer ballistics and statistics of the dice rolls, I anticipate that's going to happen. But 2 dice, a 1 and a 3, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm fighting 4 fell ones, but I'm also going to take the modifier here and fight 4 fell ones in a dark night.
That was an order, no more coins. I slapped one man and told him he was ousted, ostracized. The word confused him. He turned and asked his own captain for pardon. Foul luck. He was a Swabian. Count Emich von Leninger took up his defense. Those are my men. If any crime was committed, I will try them, not you. I countered. I had to. Emich was trying to usurp my authority as supreme leader. No trial, this is a purge. God decides our rank and our order. I turned my back on the Count and commanded the aggrieved to go serve my brother Bartholomew. That only enraged the noble, who knew my minuscule rank in the peerage was unworthy of his.
And here goes my second dice roll. And I'm adding 1 to each. That's 6. That 6 means I have 4 fell ones. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The lapdogs were quickly scattered, a slash on one, skewering of another. We all needed to do a better job as commanders of training this rabble. Without his henchmen, I expected the Count of Leninger to depart. He might return en masse, but could never exceed my followers. I could match each of his escort with 100. Maybe he knew this because he petitioned straight to the crowd to select a side, poverty or glory. I almost wish I also could choose. No, we needed to end this banditry, counterproductive to our progress.
Down they go. And now I'm just fighting the one Dark Knight that's inspired. Is that Walter Pousset? No. Walter Pousset is an NPC. Someone I've attracted to my cause here. I need him for the moment. 2 dice. A 4 and a 4 becomes a 5.
He could fight, Emich. So could I. Weapon after weapon sparked upon meeting. We disarmed each other several times. I was feeling my age. He grew ever more angry and emboldened. I held up a hand, winded. Alexander stepped in and called a halt. He asked me if I needed his help. No, I waved him off. All knew we had to decide this lord to lord, for the Lord. I tossed my shield and the axe I somehow found myself fighting with. Drawing my knife, I called, "Play on!" That's when I noticed Emich had called for his champion to replace him in the duel. Hohenzollern, Prince of Brandenburg.
Now I will also take the modifier and add a Dark Knight, so I've got to fight 2 Dark Knights, but I'm treating 4s and 5s also as 6s. The odds are with me, but 2 Dark Knights, 2 opponents are stepping forward. One carrying a 2-handed mace, a true knight who thinks it's ridiculous that he can help the cause, and of course he's going to get paid for it. Money is the reason that he is on the crusade. Well, that's not what I'm on the crusade for. I'm the barefooted beggar riding a donkey. I'm not in this for the money, even though I have a chest of coins in my pavilion that I secretly are amassing, but that's, for an emergency. 2 dice. 3 and a 1. That 3 becomes a 4. That 4 means that I'm careful, but I'm now treating it as a modifier that makes it a 6, and I've defeated one of the 2 Dark Knights, so down goes the man with the mace. And
Hohenzollern wielded a 2-handed mace, a crushing weapon designed to fell men in armor. The force dents and pinches the flesh. A victim of mace blows loses breath, breaks his arm holding up a shield. After any sustained flurry, the injured would be unable to bend, unable to inhale. I broke a rib, but wear no armor to become a bear hug on my frame. Only fire of purgatory might hurt more. Still, I grappled and opened the champion's guts. As he died, I noticed a lock of my hair formed into a cross, stitched to his sleeve. Emich took up a spear to hurl at me. Michael stopped the throw with his tower shield. I pushed the lad away and motioned for Emich to come and settle this.
Shall I make it a guy with a 2-handed axe? Or probably not. It would probably be more like a guy with a spear. Spears were more common. Implement iron was so hard to smelt in the Dark Ages. Here goes my dice. A 3 and a 2, a 4, back-to-back 4. So the way I killed the first guy with the mace was the same way I killed. Probably ducked under the mace and used a second blade of my hand and went right into his rib cage. And the same guy, if it works once, with idiots that move twice, probably a lot of the helmets worn of the period obscured the vision, so the guy didn't properly see that I had this ducking maneuver in.
Count Emich was over-armored for the occasion. The ground was uneven and slippery. I aimed my knife thrust at his chin, but only cut his helmet strap. That was more than enough. His basket helm twisted and covered his eyes. I could grab him from behind and stab, repeatedly. He was flailing and then took a knee. I slashed open his ribcage, but each wound was not inflicted to kill. We needed his mercenaries, just not as members of my pleb.
He takes one in the ribcage as well. A whole lot of coughing blood, a lot of bras waving above his head, and forgiveness. I could probably be playing this up, but I'm having too much fun being the Peter the Pilgrim. Secretly a mercenary brigand, but also starting to see that his own attitude is changing as he moves toward the Holy Lands. And we enter the Balkans. The Balkans can be quite treacherous. We move further south. We need a guide, but we have none. By miracles, we see a town up the hill, only to discover that the local lord had slaughtered our advance party we sent up there. And I climb the hill, and there I see the green tower shield with the rooster emblem. It's hanging with some of our other livery from the town walls. The local mayor and aldermen decided that they would have this warning to all would-be thieves. They've killed our members. They've killed our brethren. They killed a lad and hung his weapon, his prized weapon, from the wall. And well, enough of the restraint. Where was their Christian forgiveness? And where was their ability to turn the other cheek? I will not stop, nor would I want to. I have encouraged my Peregrini Christi to make a full reprisal on the town. And of course, what is our most powerful weapon? Fire.
Our archangel had fallen. My revenge seemed divine. I had not dispatched Michael to join the scouts. Wait, maybe I did for a minor offense. My temper and drinking left some things fuzzy. His shield, used as a wanted poster against thievery. The red cock crowed in my fury. The Peregrini Christi did what they did, turned murderous. A sacred grove standing for 1,000 years was nurtured by the local priest, once as a pagan Greek, then as the hybrid love of God's earth. We chopped into those trees, started slathering the branches with oil and tar. As each struck down, they were ablaze. The toppled conifers brought the flames onto the wooden walls and beyond to the straw thatch roofs inside. Anyone trying to flee the inferno was defiled. Most were pushed back inside to burn alive. Their screams were the horns of heaven commanding us. My bloodlust for revenge subsided eventually. I wish I had Michael's body to bury. I covered his shield instead. 100 miles later, I wished I had instead brought it to the place of the Lord's sepulchre. Many townsfolk were slain, some were left alive, I guess. Pardon to tell the tale of what had happened here. I did want word to spread. The Peregrini Christi will make it to the Holy Land by hook or by crook. No one should try to stop us.
So let me go over to ref's page here. And with the ref's page here, I'm going to roll in the Pious Quest table, D6. And I rolled a 6. I need to defeat a Dark Knight and foster faith. And I'm going to just make this a simplified system here where I'm going to foster faith by using one to kill the Dark Knight immediately, by letting them burn in the town itself, and then I gain one foster faith, and I'm still left with a net of 1. Should I make the dice roll? I have the advantage. Well, for dramatic purposes, we won't. Kill all the inhabitants, even as many plead they are Christian, and they did not involve themselves in the massacre of Michael. Our army is on the move. It's sort of a warning, and people start to realize it's best to help us quickly to pass their jurisdiction rather than make any attempt to bar our passage. More later.